Hello, everyone. This is Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast. Just want to make this video just to give you a few pointers in terms of navigating my YouTube channel. So let me just share the screen here. You should be able to see my YouTube channel. I'm up here in the right-hand corner. Now, I know my channel now, I've been around for 4.5 years, and I have over 600 videos on my channel at this point. So I can understand that maybe it can get a little bit, I guess, overwhelming in terms of, trying to figure out what exactly you want from me. Because I give a lot of recommendations and I make a lot of videos, but I don't actually expect anyone to watch every movie I recommend, because every movie I recommend is not going to be for everyone. So what you have to do as kind of a viewer is to kind of pick and choose. My channel is kind of like a breakfast buffet. You pick what you want and you leave what you don't want. So I just wanted to give you a few pointers on how I've, always kind of envisioned my channel to be in terms of navigation. And now that I'm reaching at least a certain level of maturity in terms of the amount of content on my channel, it's starting to kind of come together a little bit with how I want it to be. So, you just go to my channel and you click this little button for playlists. And this really should be your base of operations, really. I mean, I've always tried to limit the number of playlists on my channel. So you're looking at 15 playlists here. Okay. And we'll go through these one at a time, but this is where you should kind of pick and choose, what do you feel like watching this week? Oh, I feel like watching a Japanese movie, and you go in there and maybe you pick one. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So I'll take you through these here. So these, you have Asian soundtracks and music. All right. Now this playlist is kind of like a bonus playlist. It's not really, one of my core playlists. But anytime I see I could find a song or a score from an Asian movie, or even just an Asian band, like this is a Japanese band here that just a solid song, sometimes I'll drop it in this playlist. So you just go through it and you can find some, soundtrack clips and stuff like that, and then some other bands and things like that in here. And you just go through, if you want to listen to some, some music, that's kind of a bonus playlist for you. Nothing too serious there. Now we have this discussion video playlist, right? And this one I've been beefing up more during the past year, because really there's been nothing in here for years until I did the Death of J horror video a few years ago. That was the first one. And then I started to put, make some more videos in here that might be of interest. And this playlist is, sometimes I'm just talking to myself. It doesn't even have to be with someone else. But they're usually longer form videos about specific topics. So if you haven't watched this Death of J horror video, you absolutely have to. Just, make 80 minutes of your time free, which I'm sure will be easy, right? That's kind of sarcasm. But, I'd say go watch that especially. That's kind of like the feature video of my entire channel. And then, go through and pick a few of these other ones that you might want to watch. Kind of these are my individual discussion vids. The Parasite, Korea's history of Oscar submissions, stuff like that. And then any collaborations that I've posted on this channel are also in here. And I will, of course, be adding more of the prior discussions I had with, like, Corey and Ray and, and those other guys. So this playlist is a really solid one if you want, just longer form discussions, kind of more detailed things. All right, now you start getting into the actual specific industries here. Other Asian movie reviews. So this playlist is individual movie reviews of anything that's not in these other playlists. So if you click on it, you're going to see there's like Indonesian movie reviews in here, Filipino, Thai, Vietnamese, that type of thing. You just scroll through and, maybe look at the screen caps or the thumbnails, maybe look at the country of origin, and just, you could pick a few, listen to the review, see if you want to see the film. This is all different genres, of course. A lot of horror and action in this one. Again, only 25 videos in this playlist, which isn't a ton, but I'm adding it here and there. A lot of Southeast Asian films just don't have that that good of distribution in America. All right, now you got a big one. This is one of the bigger playlists: Hong Kong, Chinese, Taiwanese movie reviews. She's got 122 reviews in this playlist. And this is sorted in, I guess you could say, reverse chronological order. So the most recent review is first. And you can just go back in time. So if you feel like a Hong Kong movie, feel like a Chinese movie, or a Taiwanese movie, you could just go in this playlist and just scroll down. You know what I mean? And then just go through and see anything that's interesting to you. Just listen to the review, see if you want to watch it. Right? This one's got, that's a decent number of views, 2,000 views. Looks like at least some people are doing this already, it seems. So I'm glad at least my playlists are being somewhat useful. Now you got the South Korean movie reviews, again, about 120 videos in it. So if you want a Korean movie, this is the one for it. Obviously, more people apparently are interested. It's 5,000 views in the playlist. You just do this for the main review playlist. You just do the same thing, and there's more coming up. Then the next one here is the Asian Horror Year in Review playlist, and this is like the biggest project on my channel, obviously. I started this from day one. So I would say, in this playlist, the way I would navigate this is I would go, if you're looking for a specific movie review, go on IMDb, look up the year, and then just go to the year here. So be like, I want to see Eric's review of, Ring. Ring came out in 1998, and it's probably in part 2 because it's one of the better movies from that year, because I usually review the worst movies first and then go to the better ones. So you just click on this and then the review will be in there. Now, if I would always recommend just leaving this on play and just listening to the parts in order. But these are, basically half-hour videos, and there's 76 videos in here. So you're talking about 38 hours of your time, which is a little excessive. But again, I think, or you could go by year. You're like, I liked horror films from the 80s. All right, well, I'll see these 3 videos from Eric. It reviews Asian horror films from the 80s. You know what I mean? Or if you wanted the popular stuff from the early 2000s, you could just go to these videos. That's how I would kind of navigate this. And again, I cover over 700 Asian horror reviews in that playlist. So that's kind of a big one. Then we got current project, 200 Japanese film recommendations from 1920s to present. I'm exactly halfway through, I believe. So, again, if you're interested in Japanese classic films, this is a big playlist for you. And or you want to go decade by decade. And, I try to limit myself the number of movies I recommend for each decade at least. And try to get a variety here. So, again, when this is done, this will be a pretty helpful, I hope, compilation of 200 Japanese films in general, just to check out if you can. That should be pretty solid. Then we get the top 10 Asian movie lists, and there's a little bit of overlap because I include my, the Japanese lists in here as well. But also, there's some director top 10s. So if you're interested in any of these specific directors, I like Takeshi Kitano. What's Eric's top 10 movies? You know what I mean? Go on there. And I try to focus more on classic Japanese directors. Number one, because they're not making any more movies. So my top 10 list probably isn't going to, it's not going to change as easily as if they continue making movies and then new movies start popping in and out. So, this is a good idea if you want to get into Japanese cinema, just picking a director and just seeing what my favorite movies are and then exploring them as necessary. And then I do a random one here for Korean romantic comedies. I'm going to do more different genres as well. And I want to eventually get into actors and actresses, like top 10 Hiroshi Abe movies or something too. But this, a lot of list videos. I'm beefing up the lists finally. It took me a few years to actually even start accumulating these. Japanese movie reviews, you do the same thing as the Korean and the Taiwanese, Chinese, Hong Kong lists. Reverse chronological order, and you go through and you pick any reviews or any movies you think look interesting to you or that you've heard of or whatever. And again, I would always recommend since the production values in my YouTube channel aren't exactly like the greatest thing ever, I would recommend you could just click on one of these playlists and listen to them, and just listen to the reviews as they go automatically start playing while you're like doing laundry or something. That's probably the best way to go about this. And if you hear me yapping about a movie that sounds interesting, then just write it down and then watch it. Then we get the intro, collabs, and miscellaneous. This one, you got to be careful because it looks like just a bunch of announcement videos, but there's a few. I have an intro video. I got where to buy and watch Asian movies legally in here. That video is, at least used to be helpful 4 years ago. I got to update it because some of the websites that I listed are no longer exist. Then you got to look in here because some will be buried. Like, what's one that's, well, with the 1,000 subscriber special, I discussed some Asian music, manga, and merch. That's kind of an interesting video. And then there's, what's another one here? These are collaboration like links. Oh, the Dabe films, the Turkish horror playlist. That's helpful if you want to get into that. Asian movies to watch on Netflix is a informative one too. So there's a few in here that are kind of buried in with those other ones. So you got to kind of look through there, and hopefully a few of those will still be interesting to you. Then we get the Asian TV series reviews, mostly K-dramas and J-dramas. Again, only 29 videos, but it's kind of hard for me to watch TV shows nowadays just because all of the time I used to spend watching Asian TV shows, I spend doing this YouTube channel instead. So it's kind of eat into that time. But I got 29 up, and I'm going to try to cover some of my favorites, as I have time. And an occasional new one, you know what I mean, like Kingdom. Then we got the Takashi Mike filmography review playlist. This is another one of the biggest projects on my channel. 3,000 views. At least some people are somewhat interested in it, which is good. I covered 90 of his films in this playlist from one director. A lot of good stuff if you're interested in Mike in there, at least. You know what I mean? So you'll get recommendations in there for that. Oh, yeah, Bandmade playlist. Yeah, if you've never heard of Bandmade before, they're a hard rock band from Japan, all women band. They're friggin' awesome. So definitely, if you haven't listened to any of Bandmade's music, just click, use this playlist, please, because they're pretty fantastic. If you don't like Bandmade, we can't be friends, so make sure you listen to that. And you have anime reviews. Again, this is only 11 videos. I don't really review much anime just because no one seems to care when I post the videos. They get the lowest amount of views. Maybe because I don't do it consistently. But, occasionally when I rewatch one that I really like and I feel like reviewing it, I'll add it to the playlist. It's just kind of like, just for fun. You'll get a few good recommendations in here. And then another huge playlist is my movie collection video playlist. You got 60 videos. My initial legacy collection, I go by country of origin or by, region, I guess. So you got the Chinese language, which does include Hong Kong and Taiwan. Then you got South Korean movies in my collection, Japanese movies in my collection, Southeast Asia, TV series, anime series. And then after that, any new movies I purchased, I covered in the addendums. See, over time. So again, if you want recommendations just for movies, like my favorite Asian movies of all time, almost all of them are in here. You know what I mean? Ooh, this got 4,000 views? That's kind of surprising. I don't think anyone cared about these. But yeah, definitely, and then you just say, oh, I want some recommendations on Japanese movies. Click on Japan Part 1, do your laundry, and listen to me yap for an hour or two. You know what I mean? And when you hear a movie that I talk about in my collection that you might be interested in, just write the name down and seek it out. And this is kind of how I would recommend kind of navigating my channel here. And then, I actually got some big time box sets over the past year, like Mr. Vampire, the Godzilla Criterion set, the Ring and Bloodthirsty trilogy. Over the past few years, there's been some phenomenal physical media box sets, and I got a bunch more over the past 6 months I got to cover, and I'll be adding more to this. So definitely, if you want recommendations, this is the place to go. and that's it. You know, it's only 15 playlists. And I'm going to try to, you know, continue to limit it to these 15 playlists. I might add a few more depending on what I do in the future, but this should be your fortress, like your base of operations. And you just go through and you pick and choose between these playlists. And then, you know, if you're a big fan of Asian horror, just listen to the whole Asian horror thing. You know what I mean? If you're a big fan of like Miike, just listen to the whole Miike thing. And you just, you know, that's how I would recommend you to navigate my channel without getting too overwhelmed. Because at this point, with over 600 videos and the amount of films that I've recommended, I understand it could get a little overwhelming to the point where you just don't want to watch anything that I recommend. So that's my recommendation for you. So again, just some pointers. If you have any other ideas or recommendations on how you typically navigate my channel, just leave me a comment or something in this video. Give other people some ideas on how you navigate this monstrosity. And as always, I'll see you next time.